What is a database? How is a relational database different? Is a relational database better than other file structures? And what is a Relational Database Management System, or RDBMS? There are two terms we need to understand: files and records. A file is a collection of data with common record formats. A record is each individual entry in the file with the same data types. For example, you may have a payroll file with many employee records in the file. The employee records contain the same type of data for each employee, but with different values. If you have a record with the employee's name, address, hire date, rate per hour, pay date, hours worked, gross pay, and so forth, then maybe this information needs to be split into two files. One could be an employee file with an employee ID, employee's name, address, hire date, and rate per hour. The information occurs only once for each employee. Another file could be the payroll file with an employee ID, pay date, hours worked, and gross pay. This information occurs for each of the employee's pay periods. This eliminates duplicate data called data redundancy. The first and most basic computer files are flat files. These files have to be read from beginning to end to have their records processed. If two flat files are to be matched for processing, they have to be sorted into the appropriate order for matching purposes. Flat files are rarely used. Index files have two components: an index file and the associated data file. A binary search is performed on the index until a matching index is found. Then a link or pointer is used to find the associated data. With index files, data can be processed in any order. This is a great advantage for speed of processing and efficiency. But if the index becomes broken and does not point to the matching data, which can and does occasionally happen, then the index must be deleted and rebuilt. With a database management system, you, as the user, must have the application program issue commands to the DBMS, or Database Management System, to retrieve or update data in the database. You cannot retrieve the data directly from the database. Only the Database Management System can do that. Database vendors have DBMS systems that work on everything from personal computers to mainframe computers, and are therefore scalable from small to large computers. There are several DBMS models. First, vendors created a network DBMS, but it had structural complexity. Then IBM created a hierarchical DBMS, which consisted of parent-child relationships. It was the best database management system for a number of years and still exists in many legacy systems, even though it sometimes needs repair of its pointers. The Relational Database Management System, or RDBMS, has no pointers to break because it is based upon the relationship of values in the database tables. Dr. E.F. Codd at IBM developed Codd's 12 Rules for Relational Database in 1970. In 1976, IBM started its SQL XRM project and started the trend of using the term SQL. In 1979, Oracle announced the first relational database management system. In 1983, IBM's Relational Database Management System was introduced as DB2. You may pause this presentation at any time to study the details. In a relational database, the files are built as tables with rows and columns. Each row in a table is like a record in a file. If this is an employee table, then each row is data for each employee. Each column has its own column name and reflects an attribute about each employee in the employee table. Each column can contain only one value per row. A column may contain a null, which means its value is unknown. Each row must contain column values that make each row unique. The set of columns that make each row unique in value is called the primary key. The primary key columns may not contain any nulls or undefined values. Again, you may pause this presentation at any time to look at the details. Foreign keys are used to associate data between tables where referential integrity is required. This means that the value must exist in one table before a matching value can be placed in another table. In this example, the rep ID in the customer table is used to find the employee ID in the employee table so that the employee's name can be used as the customer rep for each customer. Foreign keys can have duplicate values and nulls. Please pause and look closer at the rules and sample table before continuing. You can have a one-to-one relationship between tables, but if this happens, you may wish to seriously consider merging the two tables into one table. If you are concerned about unauthorized people viewing or updating data which they should never see, you can restrict their access to data with a table view. A one-to-many table relationship is much more common. In this example, each employee in the employee table has multiple rows of data in the payroll table because each employee has an entry for each pay period. A many-to-many table relationship is less common. Normally, these two tables would be associated with a join statement, but in this example, we created a store inventory table just to show you the concept. The relational database has become the predominant database in the world and is better because tables with columns and rows is easier to visualize. All RDBMS access is done using a common language called SQL, which is standardized. SQL is like English and is easy to learn. The RDBMS results are non-procedural, which means you get all of your results at once. The SQL command can be embedded in a program or can be interactive. You can have multiple or restricted views of the data. The definition of the database can be changed while others are using the same database. The database can be on a client-server computer for multiple users, and the SQL commands can be included in web-based applications for internet usage. We hope you found this information useful, and please come visit us at computerbasedtraininginc.com.